Welcome, Adam, to Metallarium Pages. It's a great pleasure to talk with you for the second time because we spoke 3 years ago about the last album by mail at that time. Now we speak in
Yeah,
face to
that's
face.
right.
At that time, so we're starting by we're talking about the cardiac arrest, this new this new album, The Stench of Eternity, and obviously more things related to the metal world in general. So we are starting by asking, so how has the band been during the last 4 years? Because we spoke 4 years ago with for the day that death prevailed at that time, and now we have a new album, Stench of Eternity.
Yeah, lots been going on. A lot has happened since then, and yeah, it's like ever since we recorded, ever since we had like the day that death prevailed recorded. It's like well, what we did, we just, well, obviously, since it was during COVID times and we had literally fuck all to do for like shows, tours, and whatever else because, everything was closed down. It was like, we just decided, fuck it. We're just going to continue writing and, see where it goes from there. And luckily, everything went pretty quick for as far as a lot of as far as the writing went. However, I mean, there were some things that went on within the band, like within personal lives, like hell, like Tom, guitarist, like his house got hit by a tornado. And that was also where we practiced. So it was like, yeah, we were kind of, for a number of months, like in and out. He had to be, away from the house because they were fixing it. So that kind of put a damper on things, but I mean that didn't stop us from doing what we wanted to do. And Nick, our drummer, he just became a dad for the first time a couple years ago. So those were a couple things, but yeah, those were all just little hurdles that happened. And yeah, overall, we still prevailed and still did what we needed to do to wanted to get an album going.
Okay, okay. So, now are promoting this. Well, it's normally, well, you mentioned that also that at the time of the pandemic or at the time that you released the day that the dead prevail, well, everything was closed at that time. That's normally for the
Yes.
pandemic, etc., blah, blah. So, for this aspect, how do you focus now the next presentations of the cardiac arrest? Will you focus on both albums, or perhaps you will present this last one?
Well, it's probably going to be mostly this one. I mean, luckily, within the last 4 years, we did get the chance to play some shows. At least we had to play Maryland Death Fest back in 2022, and that was our first time there. We got to play some songs there. We played a couple of local shows, one with Nunslaughter and one with Autopsy, and yeah, and plus last year we got to do a few shows like out of town, and that was really cool. But yeah, we're definitely gonna try and do as many shows as we can. We're kind of limited to what we can do at the moment, but yeah, it's just we got a few gigs lined up for this year, and we're talking about a little something we might be doing next year, but I can't really say because it's really just in talking stages at the moment. But yeah, we're trying to keep the ball rolling, and on top of that, we're also still writing as well as have a couple of small splits lined up with some other bands. So yeah, we have like at least half another record written. So yeah, we don't stop over here.
Okay, okay. Well, I remember asking you one question 4 years ago when I remember very well when this album was released or was released by you, so, and the Dead Show Set You Free. For me, that album changed completely the subject of the music on cardiac arrest because if we compare the first album from you, it's very different compared with this and the Dead Shall Set You Free. And a great album, by the way. I start following from that album a lot of times. I hear it a lot of times. So in this kind of history of the music or the sound history, so did you think that this sound change that had the time when you releasing this fifth album was completely intentions or perhaps or it was naturally, sorry.
I would say it was definitely natural. I mean, there's never really any particular goal when we try and write anything. It's like we know how we feel as far as how we want to play music. It's like we know it's going to be, the kind of style that we want to play as far as death metal is concerned. And at the end of the day, it's just like we just play it how it feels, and however it comes out, it comes out. And yeah, it's never really any particular goal. Like whenever we get down to the jam space, it's like we're not like we don't really sit and say, oh, we gotta, these next few songs, it has to be so much better than the last album. It's gotta blow everybody's socks off, because if you think too hard about it on an artistic standpoint, it's gonna suck. At the end of the day, you're gonna fall flat on your ass. At least that's how I feel. It's like I don't think that way in any way, shape, or form. All I know is it's like, okay, write a riff here and there, and it's like we all have our say in what goes in it. It's like, hey, maybe we should try doing something this way, or it's like there's always going to be a little bit of a way how we do that kind of stuff. So yeah, there's really never any forced direction in how we do the stuff in Cardiac.
Okay. Well, talking about now from this stench of eternity, one thing that captured my attention at the first time, it was that you released one song last year in 2023. I remember very well, and some announcements after that you will release that one, this stench of eternity, last year in 2023. But now I don't know, I don't know what happened, but you decided to release this new album this year. And I saw that a lot of people, well, I saw a lot of people asking the same question. So what do you because I think you did your last recordings, the cover art last year. But what do you decide to wait 1 year when you have already completed last year?
Oh, like when we completed an album last year, or
Yes.
just
Yes.
Oh yeah, it's really just a matter of, it's like, okay, we had it completed, but at the same token, it's just a matter of, like as far as like completing the writing, and it's just a matter of getting the timing of everything as far as sending it to a record label and what their schedule is able to do. And how they're backed up in their release schedule. I'm like, yeah, because like when we sent the final master out to Hell's Headbangers, yeah, they said it was like about, I don't know, September or October when we sent all the master tapes out, what master files, I should say. And when I heard back, obviously a great response, but at the same token, they just said, yeah, it won't be out till like spring, being right about at this time we're speaking. So yeah, it was that big of a long of a wait time. So it was just a matter of, trying to fit with them, fitting it into their schedule to release it, and et cetera, et cetera. So it's kind of a, it's that kind of a process.
Okay. Well, now talking more about this new album, this new Essential Eternity, I hear completely. You have more focus on the rawness. I try to remember the first era from the Cardiac Arrest, and it's inevitable to compare this new album with the previous one. So, but that's my perception as a reviewer, as an interviewer. But for your point of view, what is the main difference that this Stench of Eternity has compared to your previous works?
See, differences. Well, as far as lyrically, I don't really want to say anything too drastically. I mean, there's always going to be some sort of dark subject matter going on. Always going to have some sort of horror movie elements that we want to try and that I at least try and incorporate with the lyrics, because that's always going to be a huge inspiration for me when I write lyrics. And to me, it's like horror and metal, particularly death metal. To me, that shit just goes hand in hand.
Okay, well, yeah. Talking about the lyrics, I saw your back cover with the movie the Texas Chiefs Massacre. I remember that you told me in the previous interview that you love the movies from the 70s, 80s, and talking about the horror movies. So, and the
Yes.
And the curious thing about this, as you can see, a lot of people into the death metal, especially into the death metal, love this kind of movies. Mortician, Cardiac Arrest, a lot of bands from Italy love the horror on the
Absolutely.
lyrics. A lot of bands. So what do you think about the always when you are play a death metal or a musician death metal? Just related with the horror movies, with this kind of stuff, always in the lyrics. A lot of bands talks about the lyrics. Perhaps it's something that's wrong with us because we love the horror movies, and I don't know. What is your point of view about the always the death metal bands talk about the horror movies in general?
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I don't know. I don't know. For some reason, it always, probably because same way I feel it, they seem to go hand in hand. Kind of like how it's kind of like the yin to its yang, or just like, I don't know if that's a good particular expression to it, but it's one of those things that it's almost like you can't have one without the other almost, they seem to go together, like whatever your favorite foods are, it's just like, why do they go together? They just seem to go well together.
Okay, okay. Well, now you are a band that has 8 albums now. Yes, 8 albums. You have 8 albums now in your career. So for you, how much changed your perspective since the beginning to now? Because you are not the same. Because more than well, you will accomplish 30 years and 3 years more with the cardiac arrest. So how will you see the groupman or the grew of the cardiac arrest since your first album, Morgue Mutilation, to this stench of eternity?
Well, there obviously there's definitely been a sense of maturity since more mutilations. I mean, we've definitely grown as a union. It helps that we've had like a lot of the same band members since then. I mean, some have come and gone, obviously, but I mean, the main core of the band is pretty much still intact. And yeah, like obviously I'm pretty much the senior member of the band who's been in it through the whole process of the whole thing. And like Tom and David have been in the band for like almost 18 years now, and Nick, our drummer, who has been in the band I think like 11 or 12 years at this point. So it's like there's definitely, a good it's like, there's definitely a good core following, a good core with the band. And it's like, yeah, it helps to have that kind of thing. And it's like you can't really grow as a band if you keep having to keep juggling lineups all the time.
Hmm. Okay, okay, okay. Now talking about the promotion of the stench of eternity. So what kind of plans do you have for this new era in cardiac arrest? Perhaps you will prepare videos, perhaps you will prepare tours, or who knows? What kind of plans do you have for cardiac arrest, and this new album?
Well, I'd like to do as much as we possibly can, obviously, within, as far as whatever are able to do show wise. Obviously, we do have our limits with, what we have outside of the band. We all have other responsibilities, typical full grown adult bullshit that we don't like doing, but we got to do it anyway. It's like between like having, our house, having homes, families, etc. But yeah, it's obviously we got a few shows lined up within like throughout the with a few for this year. And I mean, yeah, I definitely want to go back to Europe sometime soon again. And we're again, like I said, we're trying to talk about doing something in 2025. I mean, if we're able to do other cool things on the live front, I mean, if a good offer comes our way, like be it nationally or internationally, I'm definitely open. I'm all ears as far as as far as a good offer is concerned.
Mhm. Okay, okay. as I mentioned, talking about other kind of topics into the and now in general in the music industry, what's your opinion about now about the artificial intelligence on the music industry? As you can see, a lot of people are doing the cover arts with the artificial intelligence. A lot of musicians are playing now. We're helping to compose new music with this tool. So, what's your opinion about now the technology involved now with the music?
Well, as far as the technology aspect, yeah, I've definitely noticed that as far as like the album arts, as far as like certain larger bands have doing it. I noticed that a lot of people, there's been a big uproar as far as that new Deicide. I mean, which me personally, I don't particularly care. It's like, I know how I feel about it as an artist as doing what I'm doing, and it's like personally I'd rather have someone like hiring someone that's gonna draw the shit out. But looking at, like, for example, like the new Deicide, I mean, one thing I've noticed, me personally as a fan, they've always had like a simple cover style like that, which is very simple yet very effective. How it's done per se, it's subjective, but I mean, yeah, if it's getting a reaction, obviously, clearly, I've seen, which I've seen, and I'm sure you've seen all over the internet, everyone's like got an opinion on it. So it's like, hey, it's got people talking. I know that for sure. I've heard something about that in regards to certain bands using artificial intelligence in, like, creating it, but I wouldn't know how the fuck to do that. I mean, I just know how to do what I do.
Okay, okay.
But it's
Well,
just like I just stick to knowing what I feel comfortable with and what I feel like feels right.
okay, okay. And when this topic, talking about now, about topic about the horror, as you can see, well, I remember the metal in the 70s, 60s, 80s, and 90s was very shocking for a lot of people. The black metal with the Satanism aspect, the death metal with the blood, with the visceral things, guts, etc., etc. The thrash metal with shocking themes, etc., etc. Well, at that time was the metal was very shocking. Always that we have more than 40 years old remember very well this kind of aspect. But since the 2000s came up, and obviously the social media trend, thanks to the trends, thanks to this kind of aspect, the string metal in general, the metal is well more accepted now. You can see a people saying how to paint a corpse paint, how you do this kind of stuff in the metal, etc., etc. Yes, the metal is no shocking now. The metal is more accepted in this world or in this era. So for you, did you think the metal lose in some kind of essence this kind of topic to fight or to do the rebellion against something?
Well, I don't know. It's just like, obviously, I mean, when you with this particular style and genre of music, it's just like, it's been around a long time and it's gonna grow, obviously. I mean, and I noticed it when I go to shows and everything like that. It's like, as opposed to when I growing up, I mean, in the mid to late 90s, I mean, yeah, you'd go to a smaller show and it's like, yeah, you'd go to a show and there'd be like 20, 30 people. Now it's like, nowadays it's like that those 20 and 30 now become like, 70 to 80 people, and you know more and more depending on the band's following, etc., etc. So obviously it's going to grow, and whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I mean, hey, it's good if you're a performer and you're wanting to play in front of larger audiences. But again, I mean, you can't really choose who you can't really choose who you should to accept in your audience or anything like that. It's just like you see some people and you're like, what the fuck? Why would I be seeing these fuckers at my show? But it's just like, hey, if they're a paying customer, I really don't give a shit. It's like, I appreciate the support. That's all I gotta say.
Okay, well, talking about this topic about the how do you see now the underground? The underground is still exists or not? Because I remember when I remember the 80s and 90s when you have a band you share the tapes with small people, 30 people, 40 people. But now it's different. Now you have a band, you have a song, and you can put or you can upload to the social media, YouTube, I don't know, a lot of digital platforms. You can do that, and many people can hear your music in seconds. It's normally now. It's not very different. So for some people, thinks that the underground is not exist anymore because yeah, this the underground scene is well more like people, 30 people, 40 people sharing their stuff, tapes, magazines. I don't know. A lot of stuff happened at that time, but now it's very different. You can share one song for 1,000 of people in seconds. So do you think the underground scene still exists or not?
Maybe small in certain circles it might still exist because I can definitely see there's still people that want to keep that underground spirit alive with trying to keep the whole thing with keeping limited releases going and everything like that. And I can definitely see that, especially with wanting to put out a small demo tape, having okay, oh, this is gonna be 100 copies or any or whatever, and that's kind of stuff is. But I mean, yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard to say if you can really say this is a lot, if the underground is still underground or whatever. It's really tough to say because yeah, I mean, I try and keep certain especially whenever I do stuff, and whenever I get orders from other people, it's I was trying. One of the things I do is I try and put flyers in from other labels, zines, etc., and hell, throw in some extra stickers from other bands that I might have some extra shit from. And yeah, that also another. I also looked at that as a true underground sensibility as well, and as well as try and add a personal note, saying, hey, thank you for the support, and all that good stuff. So I always try and keep it that way. At least that's how I look at shit. And yeah, as far as how other people perceive it, yeah, I don't know. I guess definitely the older crowd. I definitely, people are underground. That still exists nowadays, but I don't know. I guess it's a really tough that's a really tough question there.
Okay, okay. Well, Adam, the sad times arrived at this interview. I hope you enjoyed this one like me. Well, as a first time, congratulations on this new album. It's a great one, as usually from Cardiac Arrest. Love this stage of
Thank
production in
you.
many ways. So perhaps do you want to add something to your Latin American fans and obviously Metallarium followers?
Well, thank you very much, Javier, for the interview. Thanks to everybody who checks this out. Yeah, all I gotta say is check out The Stench of Eternity. It's out on Hell's Headbangers. Vinyl's coming out on it very soon. And well, if hopefully we can come to South America sometime in the very, very, very it's sometime in the future if we're able to. And yeah, thanks for the support, and till next time, rot forever.